So I push people to try and get into small homes, and I push people to try and get off the grid, you know. And it's hard to get off the grid. So here's my recommendation. If you want to get off the grid, get this.
California right now, tens of thousands, if not millions of people are losing power for up to a week or 2 weeks at a time. So this is a really, really big issue. And this is one of the reasons why the Titan is so amazing, because it's not limited by its inverter or battery capacity or solar input capacity, because it can have essentially infinite amount of batteries attached to it. And because it's such a small footprint stacking vertically, it makes it really easy to have in a house, really safe. But we have to be able to recharge those batteries. So I've got 6,000 watt hours of batteries here. And if I only get 5 hours a day where I can charge with the maximum amount of solar panel capacity, and I have 500 watts in solar panels, so I take 500 watts, multiply it by 5 hours, which means I can make 2,500 watt hours in a day for those 5 hours. Now there's going to be power made outside of those ideal 5 hours, and during the summer it's going to be more, during the winter it's going to be harder because it's going to be more cloudy. So for 500 watts in panels, you really don't want more than one battery. If you go up to about 1,000 watts in solar panels, you can definitely go up to a second battery. You really want the Titan Plus 1500 or the Titan Plus 2000 and add more batteries if you need more capacity. So what we can see here is that 11% went down, and I need to charge them. I've got 500 watts in solar panels right now out in the sun, but one of the most common questions I get is what kind of cable do I get? Now this is a 12 gauge cable, and this is 8 gauge cable. Both of these are 50 feet. Now this probably weighs close to 8 to 10 pounds, and this is probably 3 to 4 pounds. Now the difference is, with other systems in the past that I've used, I've had to use 8 gauge cable because the panels are connected in a parallel fashion, meaning that the volts stay the same, but the amps go up. Now, amps are really hard to send over a long distance, so you need heavier cable because it causes less resistance. Now, resistance simply means heat. I'm going to show you an example of what can happen. This is one of my 100-foot extension cords. It was used by someone who didn't understand the necessity of having thick enough cable. And I went to go unwind this, and it's completely melted together. You can see this whole section here is actually one solid piece now. So this was coiled up, and especially being coiled up, all of that heat combined and just melted the outer shield, and it is 100% stuck right now. It's actually exposing the wire inside of here. So someone used 100 feet of this, and I think this is like a 14 gauge, which is kind of like mid-level power usage, and they were running 1,500 watts off this for a few hours. So it actually melted this, and it's now trash. That is why you have to have the proper size cable. On a system that uses parallel panels, you want 8 gauge because you're increasing the amps, not the volts. Now the Titan uses a series parallel combination. So for the 500 watts in solar panels, you just take the outer panel and you connect one of the cables. So you take the female cable and you connect it to the male cable on the next panel. And on the second panel, you take female to the male, female to male, until you go all 5 panels are connected together, and that's called series. And on the end, you'll have one connector, and on the other end, you'll have the other connector. So you'll have one male and one female, but by connecting the solar panels in series, the voltage goes up and the amps stay the same. So by having 5 solar panels, we'll only have about 5, maybe 6 amps to run through the cords, and it'll be anywhere from about 100 to 120 volts. Now these are 12 gauge and will handle the 120 volts no problem at all, but they will carry only 20 amp. If I have 1,000 watts in solar panels, I'm going to have one set of 500 here and one set of 500 here, and these 2 arrays will be connected in series. And then the positive and negatives, or the males and females, will come together into a splitter. They will then become a parallel connection at that Y branch. So you have a series parallel connection. Now since these are rated for 20 amps, these will not even get close to the maximum amount of power that's allowed to go through them. So you don't run into the heating issue. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use this adapter, and we're going to connect the panels outside into the Titan and start charging it up. I'm left with a male and female connection. You never want to have your solar panels in the sun and have a closed circuit, meaning having these two cables connected straight to each other, because that energy will get stuck in here and it'll actually burn out your solar panel. So I've got them connected in here. I'm just going to put it in straight here. Now we'll see, this takes a second because the MPPT charge controller is figuring out the best way to use the solar panel. And now we see after just a couple seconds, starting to figure out how to best use those solar panels. So it's showing us exactly how much power is coming in. Now it is a fall day, and notice that the screen is now flashing because it's charging and there's this plus sign. So it's getting close to about 400 watts, which is about 80 watts per panel, which is definitely really high for this time of year. There's a slight haze in the sky, and this is really important to remember that you will not normally get ideal conditions where you're making 100 watts per panel. So I'm going to go ahead and let this sit here for about an hour or so and see how much it charges up. So one of the things I love about having this stand, and I really, really highly recommend it, is that I can easily adjust the angle on this to get the most amount of power.
Yep. So that's just, if you have a house, anybody, yeah? You have a house, yeah? And you have a kitchen, and you have a bathroom, and you have a living room, and your living room has a TV, and you have a stereo, and you have, your little toothbrush and things like that, which only requires extension cords ran around. Yeah, you run an extension cord that has 2 or 3 plugs on it into your kitchen. You have the same thing in your bedroom. You have the same thing in the bathroom, same thing in the living room. 4 extension cords that then have plug-ins that go to your lamp and go to this. All ran off this one thing, and you're not buying a big system, you're not getting an inverter, you're not getting all these things that you have to plug in together and wire and all this stuff. If you buy it, this has just come out. There's about 3 of these different types, and this is the one I've chose. I have this, use this, it's really good. Yeah, there's another one that's put out by Blue Eddy, and it's a new one that does 5,000 watts, and it does twice of what this does. It puts out a 240 volt. If you put 2 units together and connect them up, the what's over here 120 and what's over here 120 turns into 240 in central plugs between the two, and out comes an enormous amount of amperage and wattage and volts. So that serves for people who have a bigger house, people who are working on a workshop, people who are running big dishwashers, people who are running big things that require 240. Even your car can be charged on this 240 quickly. Yeah, so you have solar going on, it's storing it through here, and if you did solar with that, you'd be running maybe 1,200 watts. Yeah, and both of these, you can put 2 solar units of 1,200 watts and plug it into 2 input ports on both units, and it charges twice as fast. Yeah, they're set up that way, which is really cool, because usually you only have 1 input, and it's limited to the amount that comes in from that input. But this is 2, so these 2 particular units are super great for people who want to completely go off grid. Cost you around $5,000, yeah, and you've got your house taken care of. Yeah, cool.